Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Thank you, everybody that's been listening to us tonight. We appreciate the love we get, and thank you everybody that's listening to us live on TuneIn. Thank you to everybody that's listening to us on www.legacyinternetradio.com, as well as the folks listening to our replays on YouTube. Every single show that we do, you can find replayed on our YouTube page. Just search VUUPANTHER, VUU Panther, on YouTube, and you'll find our page. That's kind of my alias, but it's there. You'll find it. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. At this time of the show, every single week, we always profile a missing and/or exploited child. This week is no different. This week's missing child is Tyrell Alexander. He's missing from right here in Richmond, Virginia. He's been missing since September 13, 2014. He's a 15-year-old black male. He's got black hair, brown eyes. He stands 5'2", 110 pounds. He was last seen September 13, 2014, wearing a yellow shirt, black sweatpants, and black tennis shoes, and he was riding a green bicycle. If you have seen our little brother Tyrell Anderson, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.com, or call them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or contact the local Richmond, Virginia authorities if you have seen young Tyrell Alexander. I'll make sure that his photograph is on all of our pages. A link to the missingkids.com website will be there. So if you've seen this young fella, let's see if we can get him home. He's been gone a month today, so we want to see if we can get him home here soon. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Continuing the show, we've got more questions of what the hell that we're going to ask tonight. And judging by the calendar, I looked today and saw that today is Columbus Day. And, you know, we talked about in the first segment that we were going to talk about Columbus Day here in the second segment. I also want to know later on in this segment, we're going to talk about the crazy thing that a pastor has done. What you feel about suicide. Is there ever a good reason for it? And Lifetime has a new television show that's going to blow your mind when I tell y'all about this Lifetime TV channel. But we're going to start it off with Columbus Day. And I guess what I want to do is I want to kind of talk about what we were taught as young people about Columbus Day. What do we remember about what we were taught versus what we ended up learning as adults? And then what I want to do is I want to kind of, I did a little bit of research, and I found a website that kind of gives some information, kind of dispelling some of the myths and urban legends about Columbus Day that we're going to talk about, because I'll keep it 100. Columbus Day is bullshit to me, straight up bullshit. It's like I can like come to your house and steal all your shit, and all my friends will think I'm great for stealing all your shit, and they will throw a party for me every year on the same day, saying Marcus is great, he stole your shit, but you think you just hate me for stealing your shit. That's what Columbus Day is to me. But hey, that could just be me being an angry black man, which I will honestly wear that badge of honor. Some folks was okay with it because they got the day off today. That to me is a person that's not socially conscious, and that's fine if you want to bury your head in the sand of what's going on in the world and the misinformation that you may be given. I just obviously tip my hand about what I think about Columbus Day. Obviously, I didn't talk about what I was taught. So let's do that. Let's go around the room. Tony, you're up first. What were we taught about Columbus Day versus what we ended up learning as we got older?
Didn't he go on some sort of search for, was it the Queen of Spain or something like that? I forget. I graduated it's been like 40 years since I was in school. But yeah, he thought he was somewhere else and landed in America, and he discovered it, and he's our hero. That's what I remember. And making the cool hat. We used to make the hat like the sailors used to wear.
Yeah. Shout out to our sister Joy. Joy is listening to us. What's up, Joy? We appreciate your support, sis. Thank you so much, and keep listening. And I'm sorry I was cussing so much, but I got to cuss when I talk about bullshit. So anyway, Big Roo.
Columbus. He left Europe or whatever to find a new place for us to live. Well, for them to live, because they were upset with the British tyranny. He I don't know how long he was on the sea. All I know is he hit here and, hey, he discovered America, and, somehow he got his friends back over here, overthrew the Indians, and then they took it for themselves. Yada, yada, yada. I mean,
Pocahontas.
Yeah, Pocahontas is a little later. But I mean,
I just had to say Pocahontas. I like Pocahontas. Pocahontas.
It is interesting how a long time ago, Christopher Columbus was the man who created all this for us in America. And, when you're a kid, it's like, oh, because of him, you're here and you're free and all this other stuff. And we don't have to live under the British tyranny anymore. Yeah, then you get older and you think, yeah, he's the reason why we're not in Africa anymore. I don't know how I feel about that, to be perfectly honest with you.
1492, that's the year that he came here. 1492, for some reason that year, that number sticks out in my head. And the earliest slave ships that came over here, depending on what source you believe, it's somewhere in the 1500s that the slave trade began. So as far as what we were taught, I mean, the same thing like you guys. I mean, he came here. First of all, the genius thought the earth was flat, yes, which is what they taught us. They taught us that he thought it was flat, so he was looking to see if he would fall off of the earth, and he's a genius and all of that kind of stuff. He was looking to go due west from where he was going, and ended up, first of all, how do you go due west from Spain? If you go due west from Spain, you're on land. I mean, so that's the first thing. But he was looking for India, which is the reason why when he got here and he saw people that didn't look like him, they weren't white people like him. Obviously, the people that he saw, he called them Indians. He called them Indians. Now, let's just use common sense here, people. Let's just use common sense. Let's play the common sense game for a minute. If you see people that don't look like you, and it's 1492, and you're a white person, and you're looking for India, and you never really known what those people look like, but they don't look like you, you're gonna call them Indians, right? I got you.
Makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. Right? But what do you think these people look like? Like what would be your guess? Like, we call them the red man and all of that kind of stuff, but do you think these people might have African features? I mean, am I tripping here to suggest that there were Africans in the West prior to Columbus sailing? Now, let's talk about the fact that if we look at, what's the name of that place? It's the little space of land that's right west of Alaska, where Bering Strait. Bering Strait.
Such a nerd.
Go ahead, girl.
I knew that. I was like,
Bering Strait.
Somebody learned something in school.
Bering Strait. There was always talk of, indigenous people coming from, because if we're to follow the shift in the continents and everything, that space, that Bering Strait used to be a lot smaller than what it is now, and so people would come across there. People from Asia would come across there, and some of the indigenous Russian folks that weren't all classic European, that were some people that had some darker hues to them. Those are the people that populated the Western world during those days, and so for Columbus to come here and to claim, because obviously he saw people. If he didn't see people, he wouldn't have been able to call them Indians, right? And so when I think about how you come here and you steal land and you claim it for your own, and you just discount everybody that was here, that is a colossally arrogant way to be. And I said it kind of tongue in cheek about how you're celebrating a thief and a murderer. But this is really, honestly, this is the precursor to slavery here in this country, because apparently he traveled the same route that they would have traveled. Now, and here's the other thing that most people don't know. He didn't even come to what we know as the United States. Y'all know that, right? Y'all know that he was in the Caribbean.
Canada. Oh,
he was in the Caribbean. He was in like South America, and he never actually came here. Ruben's over here playing the guitar on me. Let's do some facts. Let's fact check a couple of things. I'm getting this one from a variety of sources, mostly from the History Channel. People already knew that the Earth was round when Columbus left. That's one of the myths. You may have heard that. They said Columbus was not an intrepid scientist out to champion the cause of scientific progress. Most educated people already knew by 1492 that the Earth was in fact round. So, yeah, I mean, so he wasn't actually...
How could they know that?
He's just an explorer.
Well, I mean, I don't know how they could. I mean, I guess if we did more research, I guess we can figure that out. But we also know that there were astronomers around that had telescopes and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe not as far back as 1492 that are documented, but I mean, I'm sure if we looked hard enough, we can find. I mean, you look somewhat skeptical. Why would we think that it was flat? Like, think about that logically for a second. Like,
because if you walk and walk and walk, you just...
But what's going to happen
it's flat.
Okay, you can walk and walk and walk and it's flat, but what about the water? Where's the water going to go? If it was flat and the water was going to fall off...
It goes down. The water goes down into the ground.
Okay.
I'm just trying to...
I mean, eventually there was a Niagara Falls somewhere.
Where is the water that you're sailing on?
Look, I'm just.
No. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying.
Well, no.
I'm just trying to put my mind in the 1492
because
mindset.
I mean,
where's that water going to go?
But how could? My thing is, how could they prove the world was round when they had no geographic basis to determine that? Because all they knew was, France and Spain and maybe some Russia.
Yeah, but
all they knew was that. They didn't know anything else.
You also had, navigators and people that preceded 1492 and Christopher Columbus that have circumnavigated the world. He wasn't the first. He gets credit for being the first, but he wasn't the first. And so when you look at the fact that you are on water, and you're on water, and you're on water, and eventually you get to the other side of water and there's land over there, why would you think? That to me, I mean, I guess because I live in a world where I know better, so my mind is somewhat skewed. But that just to me doesn't make sense that one would think that. Also, another myth is Christopher Columbus is actually not his real name. That's a westernized, anglicized name. He was an Italian explorer born Cristoforo Colombo in Genoa. He went by Cristobal Colon in Spain and Christopher Columbus with 2 Ks in Sweden. And so even his name ain't real.
Yeah, he's a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Even his name ain't real. What were the names of the ships? Most people say the Santa Maria.
Nina, Maria, and the...
Nina the...
You messing me up.
She's taking the song.
I know, right? I'm getting songs mixed up. The Santa Maria, the Nina, and the Pinta.
There you go. Yeah. Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, and that's how I was taught. According to the History Channel, Pinta was actually a sailor name for prostitute.
Nice.
The ship was probably named after a saint. The Nina was also a nickname. The owner was Juan Nino was his name.
Nino Brown?
Nino, yeah. Another myth.
And my brother's
Columbus may have been saved by a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse. What do we mean by that? Also, according to the History Channel, ever wonder why the Caribbean islands have European names? It's partially because of Columbus. According to primaryfacts.com, Spanish explorers would bring what they thought were his remains on board, and the jury's out whether or not they were actually his. So, actually, hold up, wait a minute. I'm reading the wrong fact. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Okay. Columbus may have been saved by the lunar eclipse. It's because when he was stranded on Jamaica, and that's my bad, I'm reading in the wrong place. He was stranded in Jamaica, but he knew that a lunar eclipse would soon come. He told the natives the moon would rise inflamed with wrath because the gods were angry. So, of course, the eclipse scared the islanders into letting him and his crew go. The next question, he made the trip across the Atlantic 4 times while he was alive, and that's where we talked about how they have European names partially because of Columbus. Primary facts said that the Spanish explorers would bring what they thought were his remains on board. Of course, maybe they were him, maybe they were not. They also said he was kind of an asshole. He was a ruler, but he was not nice. He set up colonies after he discovered new territories, the largest of which was the island Hispaniola. Do y'all know about what a Hispaniola is? Do you know what countries are housed on Hispaniola? Little trivia.
What country?
There are two countries.
That what?
There are two countries on the island of Hispaniola. One is known for having black people, and one is known for having Spanish people.
Africa?
No.
That's not a country.
That's not a, yeah.
Haiti.
Sorry.
Haiti is one. The other one is the Dominican Republic.
My bad.
Yeah, okay.
Tony with the brain power.
You kind of smart. You kind of smart on that. He was sent back to Spain in chains. According to Parade, Francisco de Bobadilla was dispatched to imprison Columbus and his two brothers, and they were sent back in shackles. They ended up in jail for 6 weeks before King Ferdinand pardoned them. Columbus was stripped of the title of the governor of Hispaniola, while Bobadilla became the second governor of the Indies. And lastly, we see the pictures of Columbus, and we think that's what he looks like. He probably don't look like that. According to primary facts, they say that every portrait of him that survived was painted after he was already long dead. So don't nobody know what he looks like. So just a little fun with Columbus Day. I think I said kind of my piece on Columbus Day. I think it's the farce that we celebrated. Columbia, Columbus, all the cities named after him, all of that kind of stuff. He was basically the precursor to slavery here in this country because he came here and he claimed a whole bunch of land that wasn't his, that already was lived on and housed by people that was here. You want to question that? Question it by saying, why were he able to call these people something? If he wasn't able to call them something, it's because they wasn't here. Obviously, they was here. So that's kind of craziness to me. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. Finished rambling about Columbus Day, and I want to talk to Tony and Ruben about this pastor, y'all. I'm getting this one from the Huffington Post. Alabama pastor, he confessed that he has AIDS and he slept with church members. Joy, I need you to comment on this one if you're still listening. He's a church pastor. He's standing at his now former pulpit. Juan Demetrius McFarland told the Shiloh Baptist Church that he used drugs, mishandled church funds, in addition to the sex scandals. Quote, he concealed from the church that he had knowingly engaged in adultery in a church building with female members of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church, Baptist Church, while knowingly having AIDS. Church Deacon Nathan Williams Jr. told the station over a series of sermons beginning September 14th, McFarland told the church that he has been HIV positive since 2003 and has had AIDS since 2008. At first, the Montgomery area community supported the spiritual leader of over 20 years, but as more wrongdoings were revealed, that support turned the outrage. Quote, I know a young lady who is a member of the church who says she has slept with him and that she didn't want this to go public, and she is running out now and trying to find out if there's anything wrong with her. This is what one congregant said. Quote, and my heart goes out to her because she's been a wonderful church member. And then for something like this to happen, the fact that he didn't tell them at all, that's a crime in itself. He was removed as pastor on October 5th, but not without struggle. The quote, the schism, man, that's a hell of a word right there. The schism continues, Williams said. Schism, yeah. As McFarland and some newly appointed people changed the locks on the church on Monday morning, Williams said the older deacons are talking to lawyers to take back control and they believe new appointments violate Baptist procedures. McFarland could face misdemeanor charges of transmitting a sexual transmitted disease. Girl, he got this whole church in an uproar.
He was knocking them down.
Man, how you? Oh my God, yo!
And he was married.
See, here's the thing.
It's a lot going on here.
Yes,
man.
I mean he's a man, so the whole he was sleeping with people and stealing, that part is not a surprise to me. However, yes, it's wrong to knowingly infect people, but you do not, as the women who slept with him, you don't put your life into someone else's hands. It is your responsibility to make sure that you protect yourself.
Shout out to my sister Melanie. Melanie, I see you checking in. I see you hanging out there with us. Appreciate your love and your support. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty disgusting, but I mean, he did what he did. It was probably church folk. I go to church now. Church folk, especially them women. Something about that preacher in their robe. When he get to shouting and jumping.
Really?
I'm just saying. There's some really nice looking, but it's just with
this dude ain't.
position.
You do realize how crazy you sound right now, right?
I'm telling you, it's real.
Women, I guess
there's
it's real,
some skanks in the church.
Really?
Yes,
wow,
man.
I gotta call him
just
out.
like with any position of power, and any man or woman in position, like people are going to want. They lust at, like, people look at Marcus J like,
Don't nobody look
at
at me
Marcus
like
J.
J.
Look at him
He
like
don't be
that.
half stepping. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get some of that.
Don't nobody look at me like that.
So right, and you're just you. So imagine the preacher.
Oh damn! We go to the opposite ends of the spectrum.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, Miss J might have to cut somebody.
No, trust me, she ain't doing that. But Big Roo, when you hear this, man, come on.
Yo, when I read it last week, I laughed so hard because the irony is great in this story. Because first of all, you shouldn't have been sleeping with these women. One, after you got HIV, look, man, you need to stop doing what you're doing. I got HIV, I'm still going to do it. All right, man, you got AIDS, you need to stop doing what you're doing. I got AIDS, I'm still going to do it. Really? Really? Come on, man. I mean, if there's any time that there is a timeline of God trying to talk to you, this is it. Because he gave you HIV to tell you to stop. That didn't bother you. He gave you AIDS to tell you to stop. Come on, man. You still kept going. Like, the sad part about it was that he was married. And that's the only sad part, because that means his wife probably ain't been getting nothing. Because she probably too scared. Because she ain't trying to catch nothing. And then this dude just, throwing it all around the church.
But you got to realize that in most cases, the wife knows. I can honestly say in my church growing up, went to a very, 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 very tiny church. And our pastor was having an affair with one of the members for a long time. And it took them forever. And he just sucked all around. Like, he wasn't a good speaker. He wasn't anointed. Like, we would fall asleep. But he just... people in the church knew what he was doing. It wasn't a secret that he was having an affair with this lady in the church for all these years. Mm-hmm. And it did take them, good gracious, I don't know how many decades to finally get him out of there and get a new pastor in there. So I think most of the time the wife knows, but, as a lady of church, you don't want to go through that embarrassment, or, your husband, or you believe, oh, God gonna fix it, he gonna fix it. But you're supposed to use wisdom and leave at some point. I
mean, it's over 10 years, and he's just, excuse the loose term, he's just banging other chicks. In the church. It'd be different. He went to another church and banged chicks, or just some random chicks that had nothing that he had to see every Sunday. But, I mean, I guess for him, it probably gave him a sense of, I am the man. Because, listen, hear me out, Tony. The reason why is, he got there every Sunday, and he could spot every chick that he knocked down, and he knew he was untouchable. In his eyes, he was untouchable, and that probably made him perform on the pulpit more arrogant, to the point where I am invincible. Like, this dude probably looked at the mirror before he walked out, be like, I am a child of God. I am truly invincible. I can do what I want, and I'm going to go out here and give these people the word, because that's what I was sitting here to do, and ain't nobody can stop me. Real talk. And he went out there for over 10 years and did it. Regardless of how many times God literally tried to talk to him and be like, yo, you need to stop this craziness. And we're just talking the last 10 years. We don't know before he got HIV how long he been taking care of business. So this could have been something 10, 15, 20 years, and God was like, yo, you got HIV, I need you to stop sinning. Psst. Yo, I'm still a beast. 5 years later, yo, you got AIDS, I need you to stop sinning. Psst. Still a beast. 5, 6 years later, yo, I can't do this no more. I gotta confess in whatever, maybe his wife just had enough and was like, either you do it, I'm gonna do it. And if I do it, I'm not coming out looking bad regardless of which way it happens. It's all about you. So he got up there and been like, yo, I had HIV, I got AIDS, I banged half the 3/4 of the chicks in here. I'm out, dropped the mic, and walked out, and quit or got fired or whatever. However,
you gotta love him. You gotta love him.
I mean, but however,
he's ours.
The interesting thing about it is, further in the article,
Tony's
he is like
in the big room. Yeah.
He is like the head of this churches coalition. I hope he's not anymore, but he's like the head of this churches coalition, which is like, I think it was like 20 to 40 churches. So he's not the pastor of his church anymore, but he is the figurehead for like 20 to 40 churches. He's the face. Yeah. And it's like, he even at that point, he's probably like, King Kong ain't got nothing on me. And, it's real messed up that it went down like that. But that's just a peek in that dude's head. He thought he was invincible. To me, it was just sad.
I look at it like this. I mean, Tony, when you said he's a man, I didn't take that in an offensive way, because I took it not that he's a male, that he is a human, right, and that he is someone who is going to make mistakes. He's going to sin. And I guess only God can judge him. If you're a person who believes in God or believes in the higher power and that sort of thing, that essentially is the way it's thought upon. But, and this is just my personal opinion, there's certain things that are not forgivable personally. I mean, if you believe in God and you're a Christian and all of that kind of stuff, then, you'll disagree with me, and that's fine. You can disagree with me. I'm not a Christian. So, we can debate this. But you hurt a child, you don't get forgiven. You hurt an old person, you don't get forgiven. You rape a woman, you don't get forgiven. There's certain things you kill somebody, you don't get forgiven. Off with your head. Off with your head.
Eye for an eye, yep.
Is the way I look at that. Like, public hangings. Let's go back to that.
Imagine that on Midlothian.
Yeah, right. On your local Broad Street. Oh, you heard about Marcus? Yeah, man, he slapped around a kid. You see him hanging? He was just hanging around
in front of Big Lots.
Yeah, right there outside of Fridays. On a Friday, they hung him. But seriously, when you see that this guy knowingly. The adultery part, that's one thing. I mean, when you say he's a man, I mean, he's a man, not just as a man, he's a male. He's going to make mistakes, and for whatever reason, that was the path that he chose. But for him to have what we all know is a terminal illness that is transmitted in the same way that he's committing this adulterous act, to me is where he crossed the line. He could be killing these people. These are the same people that he purports to lead in a congregation, that he is their Messiah, because that's essentially what a church leader is, and so for him to be the one that is HIV positive 11 years ago, know it then, and then to have AIDS 6 years ago, to know it then, and to still be sleeping with these people in the church. A lot of us have this thing where we put a church on a pedestal. Even those of us
don't say slept with people in the church. I was like, speak for yourself, boo.
Nah. A lot of us put the church on a pedestal. Even those of us who are not in the church. I mean, I grew up in the church. I grew up a Christian person. I have a certain level of sensitivity to that because that's how I was raised. And so I do see a person who is of the cloth in a higher level than, your average person. I look at them, kind of with reverence. And so when I see certain things that they do that are questionable morally, to me, there is a higher level of punishment that should be befitting of these people, because you are tasked with a higher level of, shall I say, not authority, but responsibility. Right. You know, you have more responsibility than the average person. Now, when we see the congregants, you know, hey man, that's just I don't even know, like that one girl that wants to be anonymous. I don't even know what to say about that and what to say about her and all of that kind of stuff. To me, that's kind of where, you know, that's kind of where you lose me. But I mean, it's a damn shame all the way around. Ain't no have Steppin with Marcus J.